Hi there. Welcome to our second video. And through this video, I'd like to take you through um, how you can conduct an SMS campaign, how you can conduct an USSD campaign, what are the things that comes before you start those campaigns, meaning what are the things that you need to do before you start the campaign, and how do you track those campaigns once you've launched them. And so I'll log in with our account, Clark Bob. We're going to log in, and as you can see here, you'll see something slightly different from the last one. In the last video, we had zero everywhere. I think I went behind the scene and created a few things, so you managed to see what's there. But essentially, you start to see how the interface populates itself, the home page. Here you see the SMS campaigns, the message that has been sent, which ones have been delivered, which ones failed, USSD string, how many of them do we have allocated to what? Do we have any sessions linked to the string? What are the responses that we've received? And are there any monetary linked to this? So have we made money out of this, and how much money has been raised to the USSD? But before we get to, and also you get to see that the SMS campaign section is being populated, the USSD campaign, the USSD string report as well is also being populated. So now I'll take you through how to conduct an SMS campaign. And so you go to your SMS services on the menu. We start with contact list. That's the first thing. So we select contact, and there are two ways to have contact. One is to import the contact, and the other is to create a contact list from scratch. So let's start with creating a contact list from scratch. So I'd like to create one contact list from scratch. I'll name this one Roland, and then I'll select the country code. So this phone number goes to that is a South African phone number, and I'll select who the user is. Now, notice that when it comes to adding the contact details, you need to make sure of a few things. Once, if you don't have the country code, you don't have to worry about. You select the country code and you just put the phone number. If by mistake you just copy paste the phone number with the country code already, that would be fine. It's not a big problem. And what's going to happen is if you have more than 11 numbers, then it's going to pass through. However, if you don't have more than 11 numbers when it comes to the contact phone and you don't have the country code, the system will ask you to provide the country code. So, and also if you have a zero in front of the phone number, the system won't process it. So, as an example, if right now I say confirm, you immediately get the notification. Please remove the zero at the start, and then I remove the zero. If on this side I say none and I try to save, right? It tells you an error happened and updating your data. Please try again. And that's primarily due to the country code and the number not being sufficient. So I go back and I say, okay, here's the country code and here is me loading. And then no issue. You selected the country code there and you can see country code 27. The contact number now has the country code. The second way to add contact is to import a list. So let's call this list South Africa test 2. And I'm saying test 2 because I already have test 1. I select the country code and I go South Africa, add the file. I'll select the file that I was already prepared. And then I select the file. One thing that you notice quickly, all your phone numbers appear here. So you're able to see how many phone numbers you have. This is just also a validation beta, just to let you know that the file has been imported correctly. If you don't have the format or you don't have a list that you believe is formatted correctly or you don't know what the format is, you just need to click on download template. Once you click on download template, the system automatically saves the contact list template in your download folder, and you can open that and you can populate it. You can also manually add a contact. So here, let me add Roland Clark, and let's make it 81397009. 3970967, right? And we click on add contact, and you'll see it immediately adds Roland Clark to the list. But this is an unknown number, so no need to put it there. So put it there, otherwise you might be sending this number to someone who's not expecting it. And then I'll confirm, and you would see South Africa test 2 appearing on a contact list, right? And if you select it, you would see the phone numbers being added with their country code, and we're good to go. Now that we have our contact list, let's go to masking. So second step is to check masking. And why do we need masking? Well, a masking ID is very good to inform your recipient who is sending it. And so remember in the previous video, we created a request. So we sent a request that we paid for, so it's fully submitted, to receive a masking ID from RD, a masking ID named RD. So the masking ID is named RD, right? And now we have to go through the masking names to see if it has been given to us. And as you can see, it has been given. It was created by the administrator, and it was sent to Bob Clark as the company name. So it has been sent to you, and you're now able to use it. You can select on it, and you would see the details to it. So it has been active. You're able to see it. It's created by the admin, and you get the name and time of when it was created. So we're good to go. We have a masking ID. We're happy with that. And to see that your request has been approved, you can just go back to your masking request, and you would see the status changing from submitted to approved, right? And so we have a masking ID. It's been approved. We're having a good time. And then we go to create a campaign. So here is a campaign that was previously created, but we're going to create a new campaign just now. Then we select create, and now we can see the SMS campaign creation form. And so let's name this campaign RD2, right? And then the message is sent from. So this field you get to decide. So if you decide on a masking number, what would happen is each user, when they create an account, they automatically receive a masking number attached to them. It's randomly assigned. It's not something that requests. It just allows you to send your SMSs. Second approach is you get a masking name, and that's the RD that we applied for. And so instead of going for a masking number, I'll show you an example of what the masking number looks like in the end. We'll say use masking name. And immediately what you see is there is a field masking name that appears here. And you select on it, and all you have linked to your account is the RD. So we take RD as our masking name. And then you have the question, how do you want to add contact? There are two ways of adding contact. You can import Excel spreadsheet, or you can use contact groups, right? We decide to use a contact group. So we select on contact group. Just by the way, to show you what happens, if you select import Excel spreadsheet, you have to provide the country code to start, um, and then you have to add a file for it. And if you don't have the file or you don't have the format, you can just download the template for it. As simple as that. Here, what I want to do is to use the contact group. So I select contact group, and I would say, which one did we just create? South Africa test 2. So I'll take South Africa, but I can tick as many. So I can select all, for instance. As you see, all of them appear here, but I only need South African 2 for the sake of the demonstration. So I take all of the rest off, and you see how interactive the system is. And when do you want to send the message? So you have two ways. One way is you send now, and that simply means once you are done with this, you're able to send it. The launch button will be there. The second is you select later. So I'll show you how to do both with this. So let's select later. So when we select later, it says, okay, then the execution time is required. Say, okay, I want to execute this on the 25th at 6:37 p.m. Apply. Okay, that's fine. What is your message? Okay, for the sake of discussion, testing campaign. Right. So we're testing the campaign, and you can see we're tracking the character numbers here just to make sure that we're keeping track of these things. And then I'll say confirm. And when I confirm, it essentially saves the campaign. The system is currently processing it. It will show you all of the details of the campaign. As you can see, you have all of the phone numbers selected from that group, and it tells you can edit it, but the campaign has been scheduled for this day at this date, right? So if I click on this, it's going to say, please review the schedule time. So I can't send it, right? And that's what happens when you schedule a campaign. It's scheduled to be sent at a specific date. So it's as if you're putting yourself into a rule that I can't send it until that day. And then we say, no, no, no. You know what? Um, let's go back and say, okay, we'll add the groups, and the group we want to add was South African too. So let's modify this, right? And let's say we want to send this campaign now. So I have selected the time where I'm going to send the campaign, and I am going to confirm. So once I've confirmed, you would see that it saves the details and the button changes. Now I can go back and edit. As long as my status is a draft, I can edit the campaign for as long as I want. But now I have the launch campaign button, right? So I'll say, okay, perfect. I'm going to launch the campaign. And I press the button. The system processes all of the information. The messages are ready to be sent out, and you get your message that says your campaign was launched successfully. And when you go back to looking at the status of your campaign, it says the campaign is activated. And that means that the message are in the queue or the message have been sent already. Now, what you have to keep in mind is we launch lots of messages. And so sometimes the message to arrive to a user isn't necessarily instant, but for the majority of the time, it's instant because we process a lot and the system has great capabilities for it. So if I go to messages, you would see a list of all the messages that we've sent. So the ID, well, it's auto generated. We don't need to worry about that. But it gives you the contact number, and then it gives you the message status, and it tells you the value, the rate, and all of that. So these that you have are all just mandatory. It doesn't mean much until the business changes the details of it. So this is for testing purposes, but you will know what the value is, what the count is, what the rate is. So you're able to track all of that. And right now, if I check my emails, for instance, it will tell me that my campaign has been. So let's say I go to Bob Clark, and from Bob Clark, I go to my Gmail account, and you would see a few things. So, first, all the payments that have been made, you get to see the details of the payment. So, once you've launched a campaign, you get a notification within the system, but you also get the notification via email that says your successful campaign was launched or your campaign was launched successfully. So you get your message there. You know that it has gone, and you can verify your phone number when you test it on your mobile phone, and you'll see that the campaign is done. This is essentially how you conduct an SMS campaign. So just to recapitulate on how do you use the SMS services. So the first thing, you need to make sure that you do have SMS credits in order to be able to start a campaign. If you don't have the credit, the campaign is not going to go through. The system calculates how much credit you have in comparison to how messages you need to send. If you have more credit than the message that need to be sent, it goes through. If it's the other way around, it does not go through. The second thing that you need to look into when you're launching a campaign is to ensure that your contact details, that the contacts that you're sending the campaign to exist. And there are two ways to load the contact. One way is to do it manually. The other way is to, one way is to create a contact list. So you go, you put all of the details, which is the manual approach. And then the second approach is for you to be able to import an Excel spreadsheet. If you don't know the format, within the interface, you're given the opportunity to import that spreadsheet. And once you've gotten that process going on, now you have your contact list ready. The third thing on the list is you need to go check your masking. So, if you don't have any masking name attached to your account, you would still be able to send a message, but you would have to use your generated masking number. If you have a masking name attached to your account, you will be able to use it. Now, how do you get a masking name? We've gone through that before. You essentially purchase a masking name, which is a request to have a masking name that you pay for, and then the administrator review a request, and the administrator sign it to you if all of the documentation are in order, and then they allocate a masking name for you. And then what happens is you can then go to your SMS campaign, you select create, you complete the form. The form has a few conditions. For instance, if you select masking name, the form is going to ask you to select what that masking name is. If you say, I would like to send this with a masking name, then they will ask you what is the masking name you would like to use. If you say you would like to use your masking number, then it's not going to display the field for the masking name. The other choice that you're going to make when you're sending your campaign is to select how you would like to load your contacts. So here you have two options. You select one of the lists that you created, or you would take just a random, okay, not a random, or you would just take a contact list, which is an Excel spreadsheet, you would load it. If you don't know the format, you can get the format of the Excel spreadsheet from the user, from the system. You can download that. And then the third choice that you have to make is the choice of when you want to send your campaign. If you want to send your campaign later, so you schedule it, and then the system will ask you to provide the time that you want to schedule it for. If you want to send it now, then the system will save the campaign. Once you've saved your campaign, you're able to go and edit the campaign as long as the status is under draft. Once you've launched the campaign, the status changes to activated, and you're no longer allowed to make any changes or delete the campaign. And the other thing that's going to happen is that you are able to view the messages that have been sent. And so once you're able to view the messages that have been sent, it means that you're good to go, and you just need to monitor and see what happens next. But to know that your campaign is being successful, or to get the numbers of your campaign, you just need to click on the home button, to click on the logo, and see. As you can see here, you have your details being updated. So now you have two campaigns, you've sent 7 messages, you only have one string, and you get to see the details of your campaign.